Space Dwarves are here! Get in those wolves, not squats no more, but kin and cult of the new. So get the tuppenny in. I'm your narrator Benji, and this is the guide to starting your League of Votann army. We're here to help you help yourself get things off the start line, with the aim of getting you tabletop ready with 25 power, 500 points of kindred. Of course, if you're a real neophyte to this lark, we've picked this breakpoint because it's the minimum for a combat patrol game. And whether you're looking for some casual play and using power for your open and narrative play games, or you want things slightly more balanced and granular and so you're using points in your match play games, we've got you covered. So what we do with these videos is pick two themes that nicely encapsulate as much of what the Codex has to offer as possible, helping you to understand the core of what you've got to work with. And for today that means one list that focuses a little bit more on what the king can achieve in melee combat, and the other, unsurprisingly, leading into a bucket load of ranged warfare. From the toss of an imaginary coin then we start with the best at arm's length list, and as we snuggle up inside a patrol detachment, our warlord of choice is a Carl, and one of the high variety. So you see this in a lot of codices nowadays, take a generic HQ choice and make him better for X amount of points, and that's how we get our high Carl. A general all-rounder if ever you've seen one. A decent ranged weapon, a fairly cromulent strength 5 plasma axe to raise up in your opponent's grill, and much like a Space Marine captain, he also brings a re-rolling hit rolls of 1 in a 6-inch aura, which is indubitable. And the fact that he's a supercharged Carl means he can also pick a nearby unit once per turn to re-roll all hit rolls for the turn. And for the coup de grace, he can pass on judgment tokens when defeating enemy units, like a little pass the parcel debuff machine. Swish. It's fairly slim pickings for the troop choices, as the only datasheet in the Codex are Hearthkin warriors, and here we take a unit of 10 of them with stock loadout, providing a stout rank and file stat line and a great deal of customization with their upgrades. They bring reliable strength of ranged fire with their hunter type bolter weapons, and although they're only rocking 1 wound apiece and a 4-up armor save, they do have their void armor that decreases incoming armor penetration by 1, making this, shall we say, a 3.5 up save. There's actually too much customization to talk about here, so if you know what you're doing, be sure to customize them for whichever army you're going up against. But rest assured, even the vanilla versions are well costed for what they do. We skip the elite choices at this point and go straight to the fast attack slot with a unit of 3 Hearthkin pioneers, your go-to bikers that offer you the holy trinity of mobility, resilience and efficient damage. I say okay and thank you. So to the damage, and each model is a walking gun cabinet. There's the strength 5 pistol, the strength 5 assault weapon, and saving the best till last, the strength 7 3-shot hunter weapon. It's a magnificent crescendo of spent ammunition, and with the ability to make a move after initial deployment, and the obligatory toughness 5 from riding a bike and 3 wounds, you can be sure that these are rarely gonna whiff before, if and when, they get taken down. Which leaves us with just a heavy support choice to round out the party. A unit of 3 Brockhear Thunderkin with Graviton blast cannons. These wargame gun platforms also pack a great deal of customization, but at this breakpoint it's the wide net that's cast by these blast weapons that makes them ideal choice for whichever army you might be facing. D6 shots at strength 5, AP -3 and 2 buff to 3 damage if your target has wicked armor is nothing to sniff at. And the fact that enemy units get no protection from dense cover means there won't be many places to hide for whatever infantry unit you set your sights on. That being said, with only 18-inch range, you might want to bring him in from strategic reserves when you play on larger maps. The 3 wounds and 3-up armor save with void armor negate 1 AP from incoming fire makes them a fairly difficult takedown, but they'll also be a juicy target. So make your peace with their fairly early demise and make hay while the sun shines. and that there is your me shoot, you die list. That is the more prototypical type of Votann army you'll see, that leans into what the Codex is good at. Shooty shooty, killy killy. Like I've already mentioned, there's a bunch of customization if you have the will to play around, but as things are, they're going to be a handful for any opponent at this breakpoint. Segueing swiftly then to the would you like a splash of melee with that build, we once again fit comfortably within a patrol detachment, and our warlord is of the Psyker variety. A Grimnir by name and a walking wizard with 2 robot bodyguards is his game. If only more Psykers came ready packaged with a couple of dudes to soak up perils of the warp, and to act as a metallic meat shield for incoming damage. All with a 4-up invuln conferred by Papa Psyker. Still, they turn out some ranged firepower for you as well. And we still haven't even talked about the fact that for a stock Psyker, the Grimnir can manifest 2 psychic powers a turn. So me likey. No surprise to see our mandatory troop choice, a unit of 10 Hearthkin warriors with their cheaper costed bolters. A necessity since the Votann have seen a lot of points hikes since their release, which is kind of screwing us here for match play, but more on that anon. We've already discussed the virtues of these guys. There are 100 different ways to raid the BFG draw, make them an addition to your army that you're never sad to include. But even as is, they'll do you proud in a combat patrol list. And so next up is what you really came to see. Some half-naked, mechanically augmented kin wielding big mother-ducking plasma axes, and let me just say this. Your opponent would be remiss to let you get these up in their mush, because with 2 profiles on the axis swinging for strength 6 2 damage, or more hits at strength 5 1 damage, there will be blood. Seriously, these guys pack a punch for their relatively meagre points cost. The only downside, and there's always a downside, is that their 6-up armor save is not good. But with a 5 or 6 up feel no pain, access to the armor penetration debuffing void armor, and toughness 5 accompanying their 2 wounds, it's not as bleak as it first looks. The trick is to just make sure they get into melee range quick sharp, because even if they're taken out before they've had their go at handbags range, they still get one more swing at bat before they're removed from battle. So if we accept that foot slogging might be a tempting target for our opponent too far, why don't we take a trip to Fast Attack Town and bring a Sagittar for our hybrid gun platform and taxiing needs. Once again breaking the mould in this codex, we see a unit that wants to be a dedicated transport and heavy support as well, which is fine by us because it allows us to deposit our berserkers straight up and in an enemy unit and dole out 12 strength 6 and 7 2 damage shots from the twin bolt cannon and Mater autocannon whilst we're doing so. Now there's 2 things I like in this world, and that is weapons with multiple profiles and true multi-use units, giving you so much flexibility in your approach, and with the Sagittar and its passengers the berserkers you get both. Yes please and thank you. As an interesting future-proofing aside, these can also be taken in units of 2, and you can effectively combat squad, aka split a unit of 10 Hearthkin warriors or berserkers into 2 units embarked upon each. The possibilities. And that there is a comfortably under budget 23 power of Carvy Votann, but, and I'm ashamed to say this, we couldn't get in under 500 points because of G-Dub's realisation that the Votann Codex is a wee bit game warping, so they needed to cost up some units, including those found in this list. So whilst I normally espouse offering to buy your opponent an ice cream so that all's forgiven, bringing this many points means you'll have to break out the big guns. Pistachio, sprinkles, 3 scoops instead of 2, a flake, whatever it takes. Still, there's a really good list here. Yes, you can only make the kin only so fight phase centric, but the satisfaction of a unit of berserkers swinging the axe, a Grimnir causing havoc, and an armoured transport spraying giggity everywhere is all the fun one could need. In terms of cost, well, these lists are always going to cost you more than the introductory combat patrol the dub will sell you, but their comparative cost is fairly even. And the slightly more expensive Berserkers list isn't the most expensive combat patrol army we've ever built. But, and this is a happy ending, you should without hesitation pick up the combat patrol box for the shooty list, because Uthar the Destined can be built as a straight up Carl, and that way you can only have to buy the Brockhir unit separately, and then you effectively get a unit of Chthonian Berserkers free of charge. You may even want to take that approach with the other army, except this time you'll have to buy the Grimnir and the Sagittar separately. Either way, if you know you're only going to be expanding your collection of Votann, then either approach is a winner. And that there is two synergistic and balanced Spaced Wolf armies. I'm happy with how that panned out, and I hope one or both ideas tickled your pickle. Alas, I've been the voice in your head, and this video has ended.